There's a huge announcement in Florida's war on property taxes. DeSantis just launched phase 2 of his plan to blow the lid off how your money's being wasted. And now he's aiming at a part of the budget almost nobody talks about. But it's where a huge chunk of your property taxes go. For years, nobody's been watching the books, but now DeSantis and the boys are kicking down doors to stop the bleeding and expose the waste, the fraud, and the abuse. In this video, I'll show you how phase 2 is scaring the hell out of Democrats and Republicans, why local politicians are sweating bullets, and how this will finally blow the door wide open to ending property taxes in Florida. Let's jump in. So here's what's actually happening. DeSantis wants to end property taxes on all homestead homes in Florida, and to do that, he just handed the keys to Florida's finances to Blaise Ingoglia. He's now the state CFO and runs a new watchdog agency called FAFO. Yeah, the name's real. The Florida Agency for Fiscal Oversight. And his job expose every single place your property tax money is being wasted. And Blaise came out swinging. Phase 1 of their plan to end property taxes was to dig through local and county budgets. And he's already found over $1.6 billion in wasteful spending. And get this, he's not even close to done. Some counties have cranked up spending by more than 50% in just 5 years. That's why your property taxes keep going up. It's not inflation, it's bloated budgets and zero accountability. Now here's the crazy part. If counties just cut the waste, we wouldn't even need property taxes on homestead homes. Everything could still get funded and you'd actually own your home, not rent from the government. But Blaise isn't stopping at counties. Phase 2 just launched, and now he's going after the part of your tax bill nobody ever talks about.
And the answer is yes, we're going to start looking at school boards. I will tell you that my office has had conversations with the stakeholders and people at DOE and coming up with a methodology on how we can quantify and qualify the growth in school budgets relative to the population that they serve, which are the actual students. I will tell you that some of the information that I have seen is that the school districts are some of the most wasteful spenders in government, and they also make up some of the largest portion of your property tax bill.
So here's how it works. When you pay your property taxes each year, that money gets split up. Some goes to the county, some to the city, but a huge chunk, usually the biggest, goes straight to your local school board. They set what's called a millage rate, which is just a fancy way of saying how much of your home's value they get to tax you on. That's how they fund schools. Sounds fine, right? But here's the truth. School boards get to set their own tax rates and budgets with almost no transparency. Millions go out the door for consultants, bloated programs, admin salaries, shady contracts, and good luck getting a real breakdown. They just tell you it's for the kids and hope you don't look too close. And let's be real, these aren't financial experts, accountants, or money managers handling the budget. They're regular people who want a popularity contest to get on the school board. Most of them mean well, but I bet a lot can't even balance their own checkbook. So now Blaise and DeSantis are shining a spotlight on school board budgets. And guess what? Local and state politicians are freaking out. Because once those audits show how much money's being wasted, just like the counties, there's no way they can keep selling the lie that property taxes are still necessary. That's when everything flips. That's the path to ending property taxes in Florida, and it starts with school board budgets. And this isn't just a Florida problem. School boards are ripping off taxpayers all across the country, and people are finally waking up.
Despite having some of the highest taxes in New Jersey, an average of more than $22,000 a year, the school system is short $19.6 million, and officials do not know where the deficit came from. The first solution put forward was a vote to raise property taxes to cover the current school year. But a judge found the ballot question so confusing, the judge canceled the vote.
They lost $20 million and want to raise taxes to cover it? Somebody should go to jail. In Chicago, they didn't just waste money, they took tax dollars and went on vacation. According to an article in Illinois Policy, Chicago Public Schools dropped $23.6 million on travel. One teacher took a 7-day trip to a luxury Hawaiian resort, $4,700 for a 4-day seminar. And that wasn't a one-off. Staff were stretching their trips past the conference dates to squeeze in more fun, all on the taxpayer dime. In 2024, one school dropped $50,000 to send 24 employees to a conference in Las Vegas. But that was just the beginning. A vendor started hosting seminars there, and word got out fast. Over 600 staffers signed up. The district blew $1.5 million putting them up in 4- and 5-star hotels on the Strip at over $400 a night. But when that same seminar was offered back home in Chicago, almost no one showed up. Shocker. It gets worse. CPS spent $142,000 sending staff from 8 schools overseas: Finland, Estonia, Egypt, South Africa, for educational tours that somehow included hot air balloon rides, camel rides, game parks, and bazaars. Of the 15 international trips, 12 weren't even approved. One was flat out denied, and they still went. And while CPS staff were riding camels and sipping cocktails, back home, only 2 in 5 students could read at grade level. Just 1 in 4 were passing math. This is exactly the kind of crap FAFO was built to expose. Taxpayers aren't signing up to fund Instagram vacations, but Chicago wasn't alone, and this next district is even crazier. Take a look at Newark, New Jersey. Same playbook. A GOP lawmakers demanding an investigation into the district's $1.5 billion budget after they blew $17.5 million on an AI security system and $44,000 on a fun day for staff. And that's just the stuff they found. These school boards, they're out of control, wasting your money like it means nothing. And if you think Florida's any different, just wait. Let me show you what Broward County School Board's been up to. Let's rewind 3 years because they got caught red-handed.
A picture-perfect setting. Who wouldn't want to spend 3 days at a Ritz-Carlton, especially if it's you and the taxpayer who's picking up the bill? A $100,000 bill to be exact, enough to pay the average annual salary of 2 Broward County teachers.
Yeah, Broward schools spent that on a weekend retreat for administrators.
When the spending could have paid for 2 full-time teachers' salaries, you know you're in trouble.
Talk of the budget bogged down by what some perceive as excessive spending after about 180 administrators, including principals and assistants, attended a 3-day retreat in late July at the luxurious Naples Ritz-Carlton Golf Resort, costing taxpayers an estimated $100,000.
When it starts with a golf tournament, there's swag bags, there's dominoes, there's a day at the pool, there's a glow party, and then in the midst of it was what first appeared to be 2.5 to 3 hours of professional development.
I bet you're not a local politician and you don't sit on a school board, but you got enough common sense to know this is a bad idea. Am I right? But this was probably just a one-time thing. They learned their lesson, right? Well, maybe not. In 2025, the Broward County School Board approved a $2.6 million lease with a nonprofit called Handy to rent office space for about 75 district staff, even though the district was already staring down a $77 million budget shortfall. School administrators couldn't even explain why they were spending over $500,000 a year for 5 years to house facility employees when they had vacant classrooms they could have converted into offices. After public backlash, the board voted in November 2025 to cancel the deal. But by then, they'd already burned through $275,000 in rent and deposits and dropped another $88,000 on wiring and tech upgrades. And the fallout? A lawsuit. A board member calling it a total mistake. And the district's chief operations officer resigned after getting grilled over this lease. And a bunch of other failures too. But hold on, we're not done with Broward yet. This one's outrageous. Back in 2022, voters agreed to tax themselves to help underpaid teachers. Not administrators, not paper pushers, teachers. Everyone thought they were doing the right thing. But then, summer of 2024, the board pulled a fast one. They rewrote the rules and quietly expanded the payout list. Suddenly, staff already making 6 figures were getting bonuses meant for underpaid teachers. Taxpayer money meant for classrooms was getting funneled to top-level administrators, the very people it wasn't intended for. Parents were furious, and even some board members said it was a slap in the face. And they were right. It was a bait and switch. Eventually, the board backed off and killed the bonuses. But the damage, already done. The trust is gone. Voters stepped up to help teachers, and the board used it to line the pockets of their friends at the top. This is the kind of reckless spending that drives taxpayers nuts. School boards making big money decisions with zero accountability. And now, FAFO's watching. And here's why auditing school boards is the move that blows this whole thing wide open. You've been sold the biggest lie about property taxes in Florida, that lawmakers are trying to get rid of them. They're not. They're actually fighting DeSantis every step of the way, Republicans and Democrats both. And what they've cooked up is one giant scam. They're out here saying, we're giving voters a menu of options, please. They dropped 7 new joint resolutions in the Florida House that they claim will bring property tax relief, but it's complete BS. Not a single one of those proposals eliminates the school portion of your property tax bill, which, by the way, is often the biggest part. Here's how it works. 4 of these 7 House proposals are already being fast-tracked for a floor vote and a spot on the 2026 ballot. The rest are just sitting in the pipeline. They're calling that a menu. It's not, it's a mess. And here's the sneaky part that makes sure nothing actually passes. See, to actually reform property taxes, you need a joint resolution. That means voters get to decide, and if it passes, it changes the state constitution. But here's the trick. Every single one of these resolutions needs 60% of the vote to pass. That's a supermajority. Even a great bill would have a tough time hitting that. So what do politicians do when they don't want anything to pass, but they want to pretend they're actually doing something? They flood the ballot. Let me show you what I mean. Say I take 100 people to Starbucks and say, hey, I'm buying everyone a coffee, but there's only one option, an Americano, because I love Americanos. Now there's a rule. 60 out of 100 people have to say yes. If they do, boom, everyone gets a free Americano. That's 60% of the vote. Simple. But now, let's change it. This time, I give them 5 drink options. Pumpkin spice latte, espresso, cafe latte, Americano, and a cappuccino. Same rule. 60 people have to agree on one drink. Not 60 total votes, 60 for one drink. What happens? Chaos. Some want pumpkin spice, others want espresso, a few stick with the Americano. Now, the vote's split. 30 here, 20 there, 15 over there. No single drink gets 60%. And just like that, nobody gets anything. That's exactly what the Florida legislature is doing. They're flooding the ballot with competing property tax proposals, knowing full well none of them are going to hit 60%. So they're all going to fail and nothing changes. Then they'll say, well, we tried, but you didn't vote for it. Don't fall for it. This isn't a menu, it's a trap, and it's built to fail. They need to put one strong plan on the ballot. Total elimination of property taxes on homestead homes. That's it. But instead, they're dumping a bunch of conflicting proposals on purpose, because if they split the vote, nothing passes. And they get to keep the gravy train rolling. This isn't just about waste, it's about proof. School boards live off your property taxes, and once FAFO exposes how bloated and reckless their budgets really are, there's no excuse left. It proves we can finally end property taxes on homestead homes in Florida. And to be clear, we're not saying schools get zero funding. School boards are still going to get property tax money from commercial properties. Businesses, apartment buildings, restaurants, Airbnbs, second homes, they're still on the hook. But your home? That should be off limits. You shouldn't be paying rent to the government just to live in a house you already bought. The one reason we haven't done it yet? Politicians, local and state, Republicans and Democrats, they all love spending your money. Nobody wants to protect it. That's why they fought DeSantis and Blaze on this every step of the way. But those days are numbered. The waste is too big to ignore. FAFO is pulling back the curtain, showing you exactly how much is being burned behind closed doors. And when the numbers come out, there's no going back. We don't need to raise taxes. We don't need more programs. We need to cut the waste and let Floridians keep what they've earned, because this is your money, not theirs. DeSantis, Blaze, FAFO, and Florida taxpayers have had enough. The era of blowing tax dollars like you're at the strip club is over. The party's done. It's time for real accountability, and it starts right here. So what happens next? Let's not just stop with phase 2, let's start phase 3. Every school board, county, and city budget in Florida should be online, searchable, and trackable down to the last dollar. Total transparency. No excuses. You should be able to pull up a website and see exactly where your money's going. Every contract, every program, every dollar. If they spend it, we should see it. Because when taxpayers have the receipts, the games stop. And that's how we win. And this isn't the only trick DeSantis has up his sleeve to protect taxpayers. Click here to learn why Florida is about to steal billions from California. They just introduced a brand new tax, and if it catches on, it won't stop there. Other states will jump on it fast, and retirees and people on fixed incomes are gonna get crushed. Click here, and I'll see you there.